Thank you for watching this edition of the Unpopular Review. If you like what you're watching, please subscribe to us on our social media on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube at UPRYEPILW. Also, while you're at it, subscribe to our friends at Yep I Like Wrestling on the same social medias at YEPILW. Yep.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Unpopular Reviews Entertainment. Presenting to you tonight, American Beauty. And you know who we're joined by. See disappear the Mark, Ricky, and a returning Ricky, I should say.
Did you miss
right
me?
Here.
Did you miss me? I'm back, ladies and gentlemen. How have you been? I missed you all.
Yes. That one episode he was off. He missed us, and your fans missed you.
Whatever, Chris. Let's give a shout out to that riveting episode. I watched it, as I hope you all did at home. Chrissy's laughing because she had a great time. I remember hearing her. Chris, he gave his opinion, and Vic, well, he was there as well. So it was a great show. And I'm glad I'm back.
Oh my gosh, ladies and gentlemen, how are we doing this evening, afternoon, wherever you are listening or watching us at whatever time you are doing that at? We are reviewing American Beauty. A movie came out in 1999 starring Kevin Spacey and Annette Bening. Almost forgot him. But you know what? Let's go ahead and get right into it. Ricky, take it away with the synopsis.
All right. Movie centers around Lester Burnham and the slow realization that his life really isn't a life at all. Married, his marriage is all but a show, and his teenage daughter's drifting further from the family. American Beauty peels back the layers of suburban America and shows the lives behind the masks.
All right. So we have a lot to discuss in this movie. We are probably going to go in a little OT here. I'm just forewarning you all right now for various reasons. But go ahead and talk about, you want to start seeing this, or you just want to talk about, the movie itself, see?
We can start by scenes. Does anybody have any particular scene that stuck out to them as their favorite?
Well, let me just say, if you all don't know, sometimes it's in the promo scroll. This is my favorite movie of all time. It's my favorite for a couple of different reasons. There are great quotes in this movie all throughout. Mm-hmm. The cinematography is amazing. It's beautiful. And I think the depiction of, again, as I say, suburban America, but if you want to say America or people in general around the world, I can only speak as American, right? It's very true to form. It's very realistic. And you have a lot of people, with the exception, well, even the one exception wears a mask when he goes home, hence my name tonight, Ricky. Everybody wears a mask. And the movie peels back the layers of everybody that you take a journey through their lives for some amount of time. And so I really, really enjoy this movie. As I said, I think it's beautifully, beautifully shot. And the music itself, it's very subtle, but it's always there, and I think it fits the scenes beautifully.
All right. Mark, what's your thoughts when it comes to some of these movies and this scene?
Well, at first, I saw it when I was a kid. I'm glad that I saw it again as an adult because I can understand it a lot better. When I first saw it as a kid, I thought it was okay. I thought it was a drama. But then it resonated with me because of the realtors, and there are certain, the scenes that really resonated with me the most were when the wife just had a bad time selling the property, and then she would just like hit herself and cry and just try to to stay strong and to save face because. Really?
Odd.
Really? Really? That's what we're doing? All right, bet. I'm gonna just say I am Groot. That's it.
I don't know who did that. I don't even know who did that. I don't know how that happened. Somebody must have accidentally pressed the button. It was Chrissy.
No.
That was payback probably for last week.
If I did it, it wasn't on purpose.
No, but Vic,
why? Because I was dancing. Sorry for the dancing, y'all. But
please go.
You should apologize.
No, Vic,
You know what?
The wife
but anyway, no, when she was beating herself and hitting herself and trying to stay strong, you know, that's something that really, really resonated with me, because any first-year realtor can definitely sympathize with that, especially when you have a property like the one that she has that really isn't the best. It's a piece of shit, and you're telling yourself, I will sell this house today, and all the consistent positive reinforcement and all of that. And you know, one of the things that really resonated with me as far as her as a character is just that because she came into the business, she became this fake person. And then it ended up just stretching out into her family, and which is one of the reasons, which is, in my opinion, one of the main reasons why a lot of the things that happened in this movie, especially between the relationship between the husband and the wife, definitely did, because she just pretty much just forgot about home.
Mm-hmm. I don't want to interrupt anybody, but you brought up two important things, and I wanted to tie it into what I said earlier. When you mentioned home, then you mentioned home rather, and then you mentioned her being a realtor. Mm-hmm. The sequence. Remember, she's been a realtor for years. We don't know how long, but this isn't her first rodeo, right? And even in the scene when they go to the realtors convention, rather, they've done that a couple of years at least, right? And you kind of get the impression that even though she's proficient to whatever degree at that job, that's really not her passion. That's not her thing. And at some point in her life, because Lester says, what happened to the girl in college who would run up to the top of the roof and flash the traffic helicopters? Mm-hmm. So at some point, she just decided that money and I don't know necessarily status, but this is how we're supposed to act because we reached this age. We don't really know the impetus for it, and we don't know what happened to Lester. He doesn't even know, really. But I just wanted to highlight that. And when you talked about their home, thank you. I remember it's very interesting because their house is a white house, but the door is red. Mm. They sit at the dining room table, and it's those red roses. The wife is always cutting these red roses, and red obviously symbolizes amorous love, right? But there isn't any of that in the house.
Nope.
There's no affection. And in fact, whenever they go into the house before Lester has his awakening, right, everybody's wearing drab, gray. It looks like a black and white movie almost. Yep. And it's like one thing that's shot in color, and everything else is like muted and gray and everything like that. And this is when Lester says, I don't know when I became so sedated. It's like that's what they were used to seeing. And you kind of understand. I mean, it's a normal teenage thing, but why the teenage daughter is the way she is. She says to them, you can't just be my friend. You've been absent for years. Where have you been? Mm-hmm. You know? And Lester has said she doesn't like you, to his wife. She doesn't like you any better. So it's like the daughter has been left to raise herself. Precisely. And that almost parallels Ricky. The mother is catatonic because she's being abused, and she's in a loveless, abusive marriage. And the father, and this is again, spoiler alert if we have that banner ready, for those who haven't seen, he's not living, as they say, his true self.
He's like 30 years old.
Right?
No, he certainly isn't.
Anger and abuse to his son and everything like that. Ricky has been raising himself. And so you see that pattern and that motif throughout the movie, that really there are unhappy people. Even the real estate king's wife was unhappy. Maybe she married him for money or status, but eventually she had enough. And I love that they show that everybody comes to a point in their life where they see it. And it
word, like the real estate king's wife was a straight up Melania Trump. Wow.
Melania stayed. Real estate king's wife didn't.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, but real estate king's wife ain't got that kind of money, but still, like, you know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? Like, he ain't got that kind of fame.
One more zero on that bank account.
Yeah, well, I mean, he, right now he's on park benches, not in building fronts. So, like, I don't know. It's gonna take a while. But then at the same time, like, you could also understand why she resonated toward him, because they're both in the same business. Like, he is also competition for her. So she sees him in a completely different light. And also from the beginning of the movie, you could tell that he was somebody that she just needed to impress. And that and that, Kevin Spacey, I keep forgetting what his real name is in the movie.
Lester Burnham.
Lester Burnham was sick and tired of just doing all of this fake crap. And that really, really resonated with me because
because your tongue was slipping with the F-bombs. But you want to keep on going?
I'm sorry. Sorry about that.
But no, I think she was attracted to him because he alluded this competence, I guess, and successfulness that her husband and also her life didn't really reflect. She was very much trying to project a lifestyle that she couldn't really maintain or really had for herself. And I think that's why she was so drawn to him, because he was successful in the real estate industry, and he was, I guess, handsome, and, he was competent, everything she felt that her husband really wasn't at that time.
Yeah, she says that. I agree with her. She says that. I
agree. The only thing with that is that, that whole thing with the realtors really upset me. I really, really upset me. No, you know why? Because here's the thing. Let me ask you guys something.
The affair?
No, not the affair.
I don't know what you're talking about.
The projection of real estate agents, right? How you're supposed to have this image of success in order to continue success. But here's the thing. If I'm showing you a place, apartment, house, whatever, right? Why do you care what I drive? The only thing that matters is that I can house you. What matters is that I can do the job. If you're going to hire a plumber, who cares what he drives? Why do I need to spend so much money? Why do I need to spend so much money in I don't.
I'm not going to have a plumber come up to my house fixing my toilet driving a BMW. It's not going to work for me, because then I don't think you know what you're doing. All right,
exactly. No, but that's different. But what I'm saying is just that, look, at the end of the day, I could drive a hoopty, I could meet you at the property, or I can drive a Range Rover, right? At the end of the day, if I can't house you, I can't house you. If the vacancy isn't there, if the vacancy isn't there, I can't do it. If it is there, then I can do it. That's the bottom line. And so this whole thing about like, I need to project perfection in order to be successful is crap.
Well, and I hate something to be said about
but Carolyn, she says this. She says, my business is selling an image. Part of my job is selling that image.
And that's the problem. Because if I don't have inventory, what the hell does my image mean? If I don't have any
inventory, I think unless you project a certain image.
Even if you had a Range Rover or BMW, that's irrelevant. But if you're coming to as my plumber, you should have a work van or a work truck or something like that.
Precisely.
And I think that's what Chris is saying.
No, and you are absolutely right on that. You know what I have to have? I have to have tools. I have to have a place to have my tools. I have to have those things.
Well,
but at the end of the day, like
in a BMW like that, I don't.
No. A BMW is not going to. A plumber's not going to show up in a BMW. But what I'm saying is, if you show up in a BMW, it just doesn't make any sense. That's the reason why he's not going to do it. But it doesn't mean that he's not successful. Because if he's just focused,
saying that though. But the analogy that you gave, that's why Chris, I think, pushed back. Chris, you speak for yourself, but I think that's why he pushed back, because you said if the plumber shows up in the BMW, what does that have to do with anything? So long.
I mean, honestly, I was just busting his chops. I see how passionate.
Yeah, he was. That's what he was doing.
That's his business, because that's why he's so passionate about this. And we're going off on a whole tangent of this movie about something else I didn't even think of when we watching this movie. Thank you so much, Vic.
But here's the other thing.
But for the family that's watching, okay, before you go to the other thing, because you're about to do Vic. Before you go to the thing, I want to throw a disclaimer out there. I don't care what you drive if you're a plumber, as long as my toilet is no longer stopped up. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. I really don't care. It could be a BMW, it could be a work van. As long as you got what I need, drive wherever the heck you want.
No. The point is just that, like, okay, one of the main reasons she has done this to herself is because of the lies that come with the real estate business.
I see what you're saying.
The things that you have to pretend to do in order to get things done. Because at the end of the day, with this day and age, I mean, mind you, that was the 90s, so things were different. But in this day and age, a lot of times all you can do is just send somebody a couple of links with a couple of videos and photos of a property. And if they want to see it, you got to make that happen. And it doesn't matter how you look. Bottom line, you know what I mean? I've been in the business for 15 years. Now, granted, I'm doing it in New York. But to come back to this movie, one of the things that can happen to you in this business is that you can become very shrewd and you can become very cold. And this is something that happened to her. The business is what took that shining light that Kevin Spacey was looking for in her, the person that she met prior to him supporting her into getting her license.
I see what you're saying. Okay, that makes sense.
All right, it was the best of scenes. It was the worst of scenes. I don't know who actually went. I think James went. He didn't have any scenes that he was not fond of. Vic, I don't. Did you mention the scene that you really liked, or was it all real estate?
Yes, he said the scene.
Okay. No. See, the scene that I liked, scene that resonated with me was the scene where they were eating dinner together, and then they were sharing their experiences in the real estate business, and that's the thing that upset me about it.
So was that a good scene or a bad scene?
No, it was a bad scene.
We say your favorite scene.
It was a bad scene, right? But it's one of the scenes that resonated with me the most. So I'll say that is my favorite scene.
It was good because it depicted it accurately. What do you say?
No, it depicted it accurately, definitely.
So it's a good scene, but you didn't like it because of that. Okay.
Yeah, I didn't like it for personal reasons, but I think it was a good scene because it definitely depicted what was going on perfectly.
Gotcha.
All right, so let me go to mine real quick. My favorite scene in the movie, it has to be the scene where Lester was talking to, I won't say it's his boss, but the guy that was hired to evaluate everybody so they can listen.
Great scene, Chris. I wanted to know.
I love that scene because I'm pretty sure everybody who's a worker, not in the real estate industry, because we don't want Vic to go another 20 minutes about his life, but has definitely wanted to sit down there, not only quit, but get their whole year's salary in a check and stuff like that.
That was awesome.
It was a really good scene, very good. I resonated with that, because one day hopefully I am able to do that, or hopefully actually, because since I'm normally on the other side, hopefully no one does that to me. However, I love the scene, so that was my good scene. My bad scene, there were quite a few bad scenes, and it's taken me a while to think about which one I'm going to put. But since Vic went personal, I'll go personal. But this never happened to me. Okay, let me say this has never happened to me before I said this. That I just realized what I was saying. I don't like domestic violence, so him hitting his son bothered the heck out of me. But yeah.
You're talking about The Neighbor for those who haven't seen it.
Correct. It was
Colonel Fitz. Colonel Fitz hit.
There you go. Who I believe won an Oscar for that role. But yeah. So the domestic violence, wasn't a fan of that. And then of course the underlying, let's go ahead and dive right into it. The underlying tone of this movie, which is it pedophilia? Is it? And you think it is? No. And you don't think it is, and Vic, and you say...
look, okay.
Here's
from
the
outside looking in, yes, but when you actually see this movie, there's a lot of people that could resonate with it. You know why? Because the only reason, in my opinion, why he was attracted to that girl that much is because he wasn't getting any attention at all. And here's the thing. She knew what she was doing. Yeah. She knew what she was doing. She egged it on. You know what I mean? She put it out there. She loved that fucking attention. And let me tell you something. When she said to him, "This is my first time," bullshit. Fuck out of here. You lying.
All right, you got
keep in mind this is an adolescent.
You got one more F-bomb to drop in this movie, in the review show. All right. So let's go ahead and talk about it, right?
Manure.
I think there's something wrong.
Did Chrissy get a chance to go?
No.
Yeah, she said what she needed to say in her face. But
she's letting us talk so that she can bury us.
I want to address the fact, because there was something you said that I'm gonna have to disagree with you on, Vic, and that is, because she knew what she was doing. Okay, just because she knew what she's doing doesn't mean anything. The woman is still 17. Actually, a lot of these scenes they did, she was 16. But the girl was still 17 years old in this movie. Whether she was interested in doing it or not does not negate the fact that he was sexually attracted to a woman that is underage. Therefore, I cannot sit here and say that it was not pedophilia. Okay, he's attracted to a person who's under the age of 18. That's a minor. That is the very definition of pedophilia. Just because he did not, and I'm skipping ahead, I know, but just because he did not consummate the act, that means that he should not be legally charged for it. I'll give you that. Even though he technically still can get arrested for the things that he did do. but he did not do it. So I see what you are saying. One thing I disagree, and I'll bring up a conversation we had previously. I know the viewers will forgive me, I'm painting a picture, but Vic said, alluded to it earlier when he said, watch the movie, you'll see. I watched the movie. I still saw a 42-year-old man being sexually attracted to a 17-year-old woman. And just because of girl. And just because of the fact that he did not do anything or was not getting any at home, which, hey, you know what? A lot of 42-year-old men have that problem. They go out, and he was obviously at work, working with people, men and women, okay? He could have found somebody at his job. He could have went out to a club. He could have been plenty of things. He was sexually attracted to his daughter's friend. He was standing outside of his daughter's bedroom like a creep. Let's be real, like a creep. And then ran to go work out because he heard that she was attracted to him. That's disturbing a little bit. Now, I'm not sitting here throwing stones at anybody. Okay, nobody is perfect. Everybody has dark clouds in their closet or something like that. That also what I want to address to you early. Like I said, we're going all over the place. That does not take anything away from this movie to me at all. Okay, whether I like this movie or did not like this movie has nothing to do with that. And we'll find out more about that on my final thoughts. But it still was a little creepy. Lester was still a little creepy because I even thought that his friendship with the neighbor's son was a little creepy. To be honest.
That was about weed, though.
It wasn't just about. That was a little creepy, bro.
That was weed. That was a little creepy. First of all, look, Ricky was trying to get at his daughter. Okay, so he was trying to get at his daughter, and he's another creepy one. That's another creepy one with the damn filming. All right, so he was trying to get at his daughter, so he's sitting there just making the father happy. All right, so he had the weed and all of that. And mind you, this guy. He's like having a midlife crisis, you know, buying the Thunderbird and smoking weed, and then there's the girl, and then look, and then he's attracted to this young girl. Now, in my opinion, right, the creepiest part was when he went into her room, into the daughter's room, looked up in the address book, right, for the girl's number, and then called it, and then just to hear her voice. That was the creepiest shit I've ever seen in my life. That I give you. Now, I do understand why he was attracted to her. She has these beautiful, beautiful eyes. Like, wow, anybody could get lost in her eyes. But yeah, I mean, I think that he should have just kept them on to himself because.
Before we turn it over to James and C Superior, let me address a few things. One, I'm really proud of you. Did not drop one F-bomb. The S-bomb still came out. I don't understand what is going on, New Yorker. I don't understand. Second of all, we're not even going to talk about the creepiness that came out your mouth. It was like, oh, she had the most mesmerizing eyes. Okay. Hey,
he does. It's not even about being creepy though. Listen, she could have been 57. Let me tell you something. Tell me. She could have been 67 with eyes like that. Wow, you still would have get it.
We call that a cleanup. All right, go ahead, James.
I know you want to go.
That's not a cleanup. Those eyes are beautiful. People like that, man, they lucky with those beautiful eyes.
Okay.
She has pretty eyes.
Shout out to the eyes. So I just want to say to Chris's point.
He backstage cursing.
Okay, I can't disagree with that, right? The way I view it is, and I only view it this way, picked up on the dialogue, right? There are several points in this movie where Lester, either through the narration, because this movie is told through narration sometimes, and then dialogue between characters, right? And I'll just give 2 points, and this is why I say that. And I think this was kind of what Vic was saying about the midlife crisis. He goes, it's the weirdest thing. I feel like I've been in a coma for the past 20 years, and I'm just now waking up. Spectacular. This is after that famous scene. If you ever see the poster for this movie, where the girl that Vic is talking about, she's like covered in roses, and after he's having like a wet dream, essentially, and he's the narration that you hear when that scene is happening. That's what he's saying to himself. The other scene is when he's going to buy weed and re-up with Ricky. That he says to him, you know. Ricky goes, my dad thinks I pay for all of this doing wedding gigs, right?
Catering.
And Lester says, well, now I see how you can afford all this equipment, right? And he says, when I was your age, I had to flip burgers all summer just to buy an 8-track. And Ricky says, that sucks. And he says, no, it was great. all I did was get high and have sex every day, right? And so even if you want to go, when he gets the job at Mr. Smiley's, right? He says that I haven't done this in 20 something years, right? In 25 years or whatever like that. So he's a teenager. Now I'm saying that Chris is absolutely right in what he's saying, that it gave off a bad vibe and it was wrong, and he should not have even taken it to the point that he did, which we're talking about at the end of the movie. But what I'm saying in his mind, and I'm not saying that he's not guilty of that. But what I'm saying, in his mind, for whatever reason, he jumped from 40 something years old to thinking of himself as a kid. That's why.
He jumped from 42 to 22.
Which is still overage for 16 and 17.
I was about to say that's still.
Listen to what I just said.
Hold up. Wait a minute.
Can I finish what I'm saying?
How many girls that are 15 that messing around with 20-year-old?
Thank you. So, regardless, and Vic, I hear you, and I'm on the same page. But what I'm saying is, with regards to this movie and what we see, that's how I view it. And for whatever reason, he's stunted at that age, and he idolizes Ricky, and he looks up to him as a hero, as if he's a child. When he sneaks into his daughter's bedroom and he's looking for the number or something like that, that's something a teenage boy would do. I'm not saying in actuality he's a teenage boy. No, obviously it's wrong, and he was wrong to do that. That's why I like the scene, because even though he was guilty and he had been entertaining those thoughts, he did not take it to that level, because when she says, and again, spoiler alert, when she says, this is my first time, I believe her. All of that stuff she's saying to the other girls, and, I've slept around with different fashion photographers and everything like that. None of that's true. She doesn't want to feel ordinary, right? Notice that we know that she's lying, because every time she does that, the camera pans to Janie, and Janie looks down, because Janie has never done those things that her friend is saying that she did. Right?
But wait, she was on 17.
Listen to my point, is that the girl was lying. She's just making her, because she felt ordinary. She didn't want to be ordinary. So she's doing these fantastic things and taking all these model photo shoots. The two girls in that scene, they called her out on it. They don't believe her, but Janie did. And it's only until she started the relationship with Ricky, and Ricky said, hey, you're special. You're beautiful. It doesn't matter that you're weird. I'm weird too. We're always going to be. That's what Janie says to their friend. You see what I'm saying? And so when she says, hey, I've never done this before, he snaps out of it. Yes, incredibly late. I agree. Nobody's arguing against that point. I'm just saying, in dialogue and in between them and in narration, it shows that he's stunted. Do you see what I'm saying? Now, I'm not going to get into the real world aspect of, let's keep it real. This happens countless times. I'm not going to do that. I'm here to talk about American Beauty. I hear where you're going, Vic. I see what you're saying. People have seen this 100 times. It doesn't make it right, but I'm just saying, let's not pretend that American Beauty is the first time that this is ever touched on. This happens every day. You go to any house party and you see this. It's not stunted in their head. They just want an easy pick. Right? I'm not saying that one is better than the other. I'm just saying the depiction of this, that's why I view it that way, and not that he was going out seeking after high school children. He's not. The girl reminded him of his wife. Throughout the whole movie, he's still trying to get with his wife, who he loves. That's scene after scene after scene after scene after scene. She's just a fantasy. Yep. She said it in the car. She says, guys look at me all the time, and that's what they do. They think about it and they fantasize. And I hate to say it this way, and I'm not promoting anything of this ilk, but if you think a guy who's 18, if they see a female or whatever that's 16 that's attracted to them, if you don't think that they fantasize on whatever level, that's an unrealistic thing to say. If you think that somebody's 25 and they say, when they say I can't wait till they're 18, that means on some level they've been thinking about them. They're just not honest about it. Doesn't make it right, but I'm just saying it happens all the time. This movie is about people, real people, and this is what real people do. We only have to look at Ricky's father, who covered it up, and we see the end result of that. But Christy, I'm sorry, I've taken enough of your time.
Oh, well, I'll just say my favorite scene, since I have yet to do so. My favorite scene in the movie was probably the dinner scene between the family. Earlier on in the movie, where the mother, her name's Carolyn, she was kind of confronting in a passive aggressive way Lester about losing his job. And that whole scene where it kind of just really puts in the forefront their dynamic as a family was one of the better scenes for me. That's my favorite scene.
Why did you like that? I'm sorry, can you just go into a little bit?
Only because I liked it because it showed their dynamic right there. Like it wasn't, they were all together. So we got to see how they interacted together. We got to see right before our eyes, his relationship with her relationship with him, and both their relationship with their daughter. Because again, they never really acknowledged their daughter besides ordering her to sit down when she attempted to leave. Yeah. So obviously she's starved for attention, which is probably why she's so desperate for Ricky's attention, no matter how odd his attentions may be, as far as burning her name in the yard and videotaping her. She's eating it up because she's so deprived of it at home. So you can see that in that scene. You could see Carol's frustration of having to be the breadwinner, of having to be the one that's kind of holding this suburban ideal together because
no, that's not true. Hold on, that's not true though.
Let me finish. Thank you. I wasn't finished. Thank you. So you get to see how she's upset in the family and in the situation. You also get to see finally how Lester is upset because I think he mentioned something along the lines of, you guys never asked me how I'm doing or something along those lines. He said something. I wish I would have wrote it down. But so you got to see how everyone kind of felt, and you got to see how they interacted with each other. That's why it's my favorite scene. So go ahead, Vic. What were you saying?
I think that when she said that, she assumed that she was going to be the only one to cover all of the expenses in the property. Like she automatically started talking about this and the mortgage and this and that. What are you going to do if you don't have the job? What are you going to do with this and that? So it just made it seem like she married him for the benefits, for whatever use she could get out of him. You know what I mean? Because
she was like being the sole breadwinner, and
the problem is what she didn't know is that she wasn't the sole breadwinner because he got a severance package, so he was still getting a salary at least for another year. He had another year of income coming in, and that's information that she didn't know. She just jumped the gun and just started assuming that she was going to be the sole breadwinner and just started with her little bitch storm. You know what I mean? Like that's the thing. Like if she would have at least paid attention to what he had to say from the very beginning, then they would have understood specifically what was going on and what happened.
But I think to Chrissy and Chris's point, it would be illogical for her to assume that he got a severance package.
I'm not saying that but she didn't want to hear him.
No, but Vic, if I say to you, I quit my job, right? It's logical to assume that I have therefore no more income after whenever my next pay period is. If I don't say, hey, I quit my job, taking a breath, and I got a severance package, nobody's going to know that. So for her she's already, as she says, when to the real estate king, I've been wound up for a long, long time. She said that. And Chrissy's point about that scene is that's a very realistic reaction. It doesn't mean she didn't say she was right. She just said that she was frustrated about being the sole breadwinner because that's what he said.
Right. I think she was absolutely right. That's only because I've been in that situation. So I completely agree. Now, granted, he did take care of business. He did what he had to do. That's why it was my favorite scene when he took care of business. But reality speaking, these two are married. They have a child, right? Before he quits his job, he needs to have that conversation with her. I mean, I'll take it a step further. I actually was kind of on her side when he was, I think when she got home and I forgot. She was tripping about something. I forgot what it was. They were
tripping about him smoking weed, smoking weed, and the Thunderbird.
There you go. That's
the Thunderbird. She said, "Who's fired out front?"
I thought that was. I agree with her on that too. I mean, when you're married I've never been married, but when you're married, I do know that when you make those big kind of decisions and purchases, you're supposed to consult with your significant other. And it's not like she was just a stay-at-home mom doing absolutely nothing. She was out. She was working too. She was contributing. Also, from the way they were making it sound. He should have had that conversation. Now, granted, she's not fulfilling all her wifely duties, but there's certain things that you need to make sure that you're doing. So I kind of agreed with her on that. Now, him working out or her tripping, I thought that was ridiculous. I will say that. But there were certain things that I had to agree. And you know what? That's some of the things that I'll talk more about my final thoughts. Some things I did like about this movie, because there were a lot of times where I was on his side. There was a lot of times I was on her side.
And I think, and what you just said bolsters my case that a lot of the things he did was nonsensical, like reactionary, childlike. You know what I mean? Juvenile. And you're absolutely right. Carolyn was absolutely right to be upset at that. You see what I'm saying? This movie, I don't think there's anybody that's the hero, so to speak. It's just people.
Definitely not. Definitely not.
Just people, and I like that. I like just seeing people behind the curtain.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that was it for. It was the best of scenes. It was the worst of scenes. We're going to come back and we're going to talk a little bit about quotables right after this big commercial break, which we're going to show you what we're going to review on Saturday. We'll be right back, ladies and gentlemen.
That she cannot sing a lick. Like a lick. If you listen to the song when we were first introduced to her, I can sing better than that. And I'm not Black Mary.
Right now, ladies and gentlemen, live on Facebook, YouTube, and Spotify. Chrissy, go ahead.
No.
A few moments later.
And I grew strong.
And I learned how to get along.
And I'm not yet back.
From outer space, I just walked in to find you here with that sad look upon your face.
Dread it. Run from it. Destiny still arrives. This does put a smile on my face.
All right. It's been about a week. You would think that built up the lyrics or something like that. Ladies and gentlemen, you're watching Unpopular Reviews or listening to Unpopular Reviews Entertainment Edition. We're reviewing American Beauty today, and right now you are joined by the executive consultant Lester, Ricky, and C, the superior. Lester and Ricky picked two of the weirdest people. All right.
Who changed my name?
What? We're going from one to another. The next thing we're going to talk about are our favorite quotes from this movie. And for this one, we're going to start off with none other than the man himself that missed the last episode. Ricky, take it away.
All right, as I said, this is my favorite movie. So, of course, I watched it thousands of times. I got a couple of these different quotes. Just bear with me. I'm just going to do two, okay? The first one is this. Both my wife and daughter think I'm this gigantic loser. And they're right. I have lost something. I'm not exactly sure what it is, but I know I didn't always feel this sedated. But you know what? It's never too late to get it back. I love that because it speaks to his state of mind and his impetus for the things that he does throughout the movie, right or wrong. It just shows that, right? And the other one, well, I read the other one about the coma, but I like this one that Janie says when Ricky apologizes to her. He says, "Hey, I didn't mean." He was videotaping her, and he says, "Hey, I apologize if I scared you. I didn't mean to, right? I just found you interesting." And then he walks away, right? And Janie says to her friend, "He's so confident. He's like so confident. It can't be real." And I like that because from her perspective in her world as a teenager, no one's that confident. No one's that self-assured. And I've seen this countless times in my life. You know, Chris and I, we've seen people and we know that people are drawn to you if you're confident, if you seem self-assured, self-aware and everything like that. For them, it's too good to be true.
Sure, right? You ever seen a drug dealer in high school?
And so, no, I'm talking about true confidence. And so when she goes, he's like so confident, it can't be real. It really, really spoke to me. And I really enjoyed that one.
All right. C, the superior. Let's go ahead with you next.
I guess my favorite quote, I wrote down one that I thought was funny and like delivered really well. Like it's not so much the quote, but it's more of the delivery of the quote. So I'm not going to do it justice, so I'll just read it flat. But it was funny in the movie. So it was during the scene that I said was my favorite at the dinner table. And then Carolyn says, "Oh, your father lost his job." And Lester comes back with, "Lose it? I didn't lose it. It's not like, oops, where's my job? Where'd my job go? I quit." So I thought that was funny because the way it was delivered, he did a good job. during that scene.
Can someone please pass the asparagus?
Yo, when he gets up to get that shit himself, that was gangster.
And another, we're not going to listen to any more of this Lawrence Welk stuff. We're going to rotate the music.
Oh yeah.
Yep, that was fire. You see how much I love it, because he was such a puppet to his wife for such a long time. Like, he literally just let his wife take him and direct him in whatever direction she wanted to go. Like, just like when he went to the party and he was just like, yeah, I have to sit here and pretend to be this person again just to make you happy.
I'll be whatever you want me to be.
And I'm happy that he liberated himself. You know what I mean? Unfortunately, it was in the arms of
we have to remember that this movie is shown through his perspective. So we can't say that, it's the wife when we're hearing it. He's the narrator. So of course it's going to be framed as she's the bad guy. He's the one who's being like
we're getting deep on you.
Now you're absolutely right on that. You're absolutely. Oh yeah, that's true. That's true. Okay, wait.
So what's your favorite quote, Vic?
Oh, my favorite quote? Okay, wait.
Vic can go last because I'm going to start off the next segment, which is recasted. My favorite quote of this movie is a very, I wouldn't be surprised if James already knows what quote I'm going to say, but it's fine. I will use this quote from now on. It's going to probably be in the tweet in a couple hours. Never underestimate the power of denial. Mm-hmm. Okay? And I told you in the last episode that I like quotes that I feel like can resonate with real life. And there's hardly anything more serious than a person that's in denial. More serious because that makes that person very, very dangerous. They do so much damage to themselves and others simply because they believe that what they're saying makes sense. And we know I need you to make it make sense. So I love that. I love that scene actually, but I love that saying is now added to Chris Harris's movie quotes of greatness. Never underestimate the power of denial. Thank you so much for giving me that.
You're welcome, Chris.
Thank you.
You didn't ask, but I did.
But I think he was to you. Vic, go ahead and take it away with your quotable and everything else that you want to spit out.
Okay, my favorite quote in this movie, I think, can resonate with a lot of people.
It's a filler.
She's not your friend. She's someone you use to feel better about yourself. Yeah. I loved that quote because, I'm not saying this is every pretty girl, but, there's a lot of pretty women that surround themselves with women that are not as beautiful as them. Just, so they can stand out. You know what I mean? I've seen that all the time. I've even gone to the clubs and gone holler at the ugly girls, and all of a sudden the pretty girls just like, oh. Shit is funny. But anyway, yes, I loved it because, the little girl, she's very superficial. She's very like, and I really like that this scene happened because he called her out on her bullshit, and he showed her the parts of her that are ugly, no matter how beautiful she is and how pretty her eyes are and whatever, all this stuff, So I really enjoyed when he just like stood up for his girl, and then he was just like, oh nah, you just using her to feel better about yourself because you don't necessarily like yourself.
All right, Lester.
All right, that's the quotables for us. And you know what? Your name is Lester, and you talking about this young little girl, as you call her eyes, is a little disturbing. All right, so the next thing we're going to talk about is,
you know what?
We're going to go from quote.
I was in my 20s when she came out. What's the girl's name? What's that actress's name?
Let's clean this up and recast.
Mina, I can't pronounce her last name.
I don't know which girl you're talking about. Which girl are you talking about?
I haven't seen that bitch. I haven't seen that bitch in 20 years. What's her name?
Can we go to recast it, please?
yeah, go to recast it. Let me see. Let me find this out.
All right, we're in recasted, and I'm actually going to start off. I want to start off every recasted. I just feel like I should. So I'm going to start off recasted, and we're going to go ahead and talk about two people. Always two people, right, with me, right? Two people. Who I think,
no more, no less.
All right, so yeah, that's it. No more, no less. And it was tough on this one because much like you said earlier in pre-production, it was hard for me to recast a lot of these people. But I said I'm going to go ahead and do it because this is a segment and we're going to go ahead and try. So somebody who I think could have been recasted is a person by the name of Barbara. Right? Mm-hmm. Barbara is the mom of the neighbor or whatever like that. The one that was like always in a catatonic state.
Janney. Allison Janney.
Yeah.
Okay, that's her. That's the person's name.
Yeah, that's her. That's the actor's name.
Yeah, whatever. So yeah, I wasn't. She's like her character doesn't really mean much in this movie. So I was trying to figure out like, well, go ahead. No, I'm listening.
I think her character is very, very powerful, and it speaks to a lot of what goes unsaid in America. And I think Allison Janney did a fantastic performance in this job. The fact that she doesn't have too many lines, but her eyes and her actions and her mannerisms express it all. She's literally living in it. She literally is like the physical representation of the sunken place in Get Out. If you see how she's acting, because she's been so beaten down and her soul has been so stomped on by this man who's living, as we would say now, a closeted life, right? Mm-hmm. I think she did a remarkable job in that role. It's very, very hard to convey that, and she did.
I'm so glad that you actually said that, because ironically, that is actually one of the people who I thought should have been recasted, is because of her way she played it, the character in this movie. Mm-hmm. Right? You with me?
Yeah.
I'm stalling. Hold up.
No, I think she did a fantastic job. I also think that their relationship or their marriage is something that I would be interested in seeing more of.
There we go. That's it. That's who I said. What? It was. You know what? I had this picture ready.
No.
I had this picture ready, but unfortunately, it was in the sunken place. I don't remember her name right now. I do not remember her name for the life of me. But that woman that was like, no, whatever her name is from Get Out, she'll be the one to replace that mom, which is good because I don't remember seeing much chocolate in this movie anyway. So let's go ahead and make this for 2020, have an interracial relationship. She could be the Colonel's wife in this movie. And her lines would be similar in the same thing for Get Out. So why not go ahead and put her there? So that's my first recasted. My second recasted, I had to go with your person that you're emulating today, which is Ricky, because he creeped me out, right? He creeped me out. This young boy looked like he had. It looked like at first I thought he was gonna hook up with Lester, and he ended up hooking up with Porter and stuff like that. But I did find somebody who I thought was just as creepy and can play this character very well. So let's just go ahead and bring him from Sim City. Let's go ahead with Elijah Wood being in this Ricky. Because let me explain why I think that
of all the pictures.
No, because seriously, the first 30 minutes or so of this movie, and it's the first 30-something minutes of this movie, you can't tell me he did not creep you out just like this guy, all right? This guy looked just like Elijah Wood in Sin City, like he just stared at you.
No, he didn't.
Yes, he did. That's why Angel kept picking him. Yes, he did. He looked just like, don't do that. Don't do that. He was that just creepy. No. All right, what James trying to do is play Captain Saber. But I'm going to tell you the truth, right? he was creepy, and then you know what? But in 1999, being a creep must have worked because he surely got the woman at the end, right? He was burning her name.
That's because she was desperate.
She was.
I think he actually treated her very well.
No, he was.
He did.
He treated her well. What do you want? So Chrissy, would you want him to stand on his lawn with the big boom box and play your favorite songs?
He burned her name into her lawn.
Should he wait 100 years before he hooks up with her and tell her that she smells different from other girls? Should she do that? Which one would be more romantic? Which one is less creepy? Which one is less creepy? Tell me.
It's just as creepy. It's the same.
This one is far more creepy.
Not the 100-year-old corpse who tells us she smells different from other girls. I've smelled other teenage girls.
That's not really reality.
That's my recast.
All different, baby, and there's something about you. And when I bite you, we're gonna break this bed.
1,000K views.
That's
1K. 1.3K.
As I told you, there are a lot of them out there. The truth is out there.
and Blade's going to kill them all. But that was my recasting. Let's go ahead and go to the next person, which is going to be James. Say he doesn't have any. Vic,
no, I have one. I sent it to you.
You have one. All right, go ahead, James. Take it away.
I sent it to you, but it's not ready.
All right, Vic, go ahead. Take it away. I just got it. Go ahead. Now, oh my God. All right, go ahead.
Okay, I'll go since Vic is in his thoughts right now.
No, I'm ready.
Recasting.
He's ready.
I'm ready.
Okay.
He's ready.
Go ahead.
All right, cool. So number one for the realtor that the wife was all crazy over.
The realtor,
right?
The realtor, of course.
Yeah, the realtor that the wife was crazy over.
Real estate king.
Yes, the real estate king. I would replace with Phil Dunphy.
Not Phil.
Yes,
Why?
I would totally
Phil's a
replace
good
with Phil
family
Dunphy because Phil Dunphy is a good man.
It's not a bad choice.
Phil Dunphy is a good man, much better man, and his eyebrows actually match his fucking hair. Because what was bothering me about the real estate he had these painted eyebrows. He had these painted eyebrows, and then this salt and pepper hair and all of that. You know, no. Okay, number two, the wife. I would switch.
Number 10.
Okay, no, wait. Number two, I would switch the wife with this one. Oh man, look at those eyes.
Oh Lord.
Here we go.
Look at those eyes. I would switch the wife with this one right here. And look, she's still with it. You know what I'm saying? Look at that.
Oh,
that was in the cameras. She's open. Look how open she is. So an older version and can recast her as the wife. Oh man, that would be awesome. Yeah. I want to see another movie of this girl because now that I see her older, now she's hotter to me. You know, look, she's got a little gray. She's kind of cute.
That's great.
She's hotter to me too because she's actually not going to put me in jail. All right.
All right. Well,
go ahead, Chrissy.
I'll go next because I too have two recasted, and let me see here. Did I upload it? So I too recasted two of the main characters. My first one was one of the characters that both before the show, James asked us who could we relate to the most or who do we like the most. I don't have an answer. I don't like any of the characters. But as far as recasting, there's one woman in the 90s who was very famous at the time, more famous, in fact. She's not necessarily an actress, but her pandering during the campaign makes me believe that she will be able to handle the role as Carol. So
she definitely had a Hillary Clinton look. Word.
Would be my pick for the recasting of the wife. And
she had the haircut and everything back when she was running for Senate.
She had the 90s mom haircut down. Mm-hmm. So yes, that would be my recasting for her. And let's see if I can upload this.
You know what? That's also not a bad recasting. I gotta give you credit on that one too.
Thank you. I put a lot of thought into these. Let's see. So my second recasting is, of course, of Ricky. Now Ricky, he was creepy. I didn't like any of the characters. I think maybe out of all of them, Ricky maybe had. I can't even say that. I didn't like any of them, but I also feel like this actor could carry that creepy role, and he did in Donnie Darko. I feel like they have a very similar look. They also have he could carry this role because he's a phenomenal actor.
What's his name real quick? Tell me what's his name real quick.
He is
he's a phenomenal actor.
He is a phenomenal actor. You might know him from the likes of Donnie Darko, of second Spider-Man movie. It's going to come to me any second, guys. His sister is also a phenomenal actress who was featured in the Batman Begins movie.
Phenomenal.
What was
I like how
his
she
name?
said phenomenal. He was phenomenal, though.
At the moment, it's escaping me. But you know, those who are watching us know who he is. He needs no explanation and no introduction.
Will we see him in the upcoming MCU movie?
Yes, we shall. Jake Gyllenhaal. That's what they're finally. Boom.
3 years later.
Like an epiphany, it has come. So those are my recasting selections. So let's go once again.
Very nice. Well, I like your Hillary Rodham Clinton, who is more famous in the 90s than when she ran for president. Okay.
Exactly.
I understand that logic.
Exactly.
So I just have one. I liked everybody in this movie. Wear your mask. I liked everybody in this movie. I thought they did a great job, but I said, okay, I'll play along. If I'm going to recast anybody, it's going to be Peter Gallagher's character, the real estate king. And I liked him as this guy in Mr. Deeds, and I think that we should just recast him like that, and I think that would be a perfect matchup.
Mr. Deeds. I forgot
there you go. You see? We're talking about American Beauty. Don't get it confused there, Christy. All right?
I can't forget.
With your Jake Gyllenhaal, okay?
Okay.
All right, but that's my recast.
All right.
So that was
all really good recasting. That was the end of recasted. That was all very good recasting this week. Thank you so much. We're going to come back, and when we come back, we're going to discuss our final thoughts right after this commercial, where you'll find out what movie we're going to be reviewing next week. Next week, we have some buttholes that are on this show. All right, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, buttholes on this show.
Everybody watching, everybody listening, you want to know what I think? I think it's a vision of perfection, an object of affection to quench your royal fire, completely free from infection, to be used at your discretion, waiting only for your direction.
Yes, she's your queen to be.
Mi bello. Mi bello. Oh, mi scusi.
Yo, that shit is funny.
We're back on Popular Reviews. A Popular Review Entertainment Edition, reviewing American Beauty. That's right. Next Thursday, back to our normal schedule time on Thursday, hopefully, we'll be reviewing Euro Trip, 2004's Euro Trip. And that's, I believe, the third movie in a row I have not seen before. So I'm actually looking forward to seeing that. No, because Birds of Prey was last week and I did see that. Matter of fact, I think I picked it. All right, so let's go ahead into our final thoughts, Chrissy. We're going to go ahead and start with you.
All right, guys.
And we're going to mute Vic.
Great. All right, so my thoughts on this film. I feel like in stark contrast to all like the 80s movies that kind of showed like the ideal family, this movie showed the opposite of that. That theme is kind of a popular theme for the 90s when, you know, The Simpsons were about Married with Children. Roseanne, they were more focused on showing kind of dysfunctional families, and they did that in this movie. So in that aspect, it wasn't really groundbreaking, but I can appreciate the representation of, I guess, American families as they actually are, not how they are, gets put on a pedestal to be. So I did appreciate that part of the movie, even though it was a little overdone for the time. I also appreciate the ambition of this film and how it tried to show a exaggerated, I guess, midlife crisis, but still kind of grounded it in reality. I appreciated that in that film, but I would be remiss if we did not discuss the undertones and overtones of pedophilia throughout this movie. I understand that it's centralized around a man having almost a mental breakdown. He's having a midlife crisis, but midlife crisis or no does not excuse pedophilia. It does not excuse his actions. It doesn't make suddenly this a comedy. I don't appreciate the almost comedic tones that this movie puts in when dealing with the theory of the theme of pedophilia. I don't appreciate that at all. I think it was distasteful. And I also don't believe the final epiphany in the last 10, 15 minutes of the film excuses 2 hours worth of pedophilia throughout the whole movie. So for that reason, I'm going to have to give this movie a thumbs down. I do understand that it is a very popular film, like a classic to some, but to me, in my personal unpopular opinion, or unpopular review, should I say, I did not enjoy this film. It was almost disgusting in certain aspects. Like I did not want to watch this film. I watched it for the show. So yeah, thumbs down.
All right, thumbs down for Seed Superior. Let's go ahead and Mark, are you able to talk about your final reviews? Or 1 second. No, right now. You're muted. Okay, I'm muting you. Stay down.
Put me last. By the time I get there, I'll be fine.
All right, putting you last. So next is going to go over to the person whose movie, this is his favorite movie. He's the one that picked it. Ricky, take it away.
Hi, my name is Ricky, a.k.a. James Best, a.k.a. The Question, a.k.a. The Mystery. So, of course, I said this is my favorite movie. Many different things I loved about it. I loved the cinematography. I loved the acting in it. To Chris's point, I loved how in the 90s, and I'm going to give this show credit and forget, the things that came after in this modern era. But Roseanne showed a white working class family. And it wasn't glamorized at all, right? And I don't really recall ever seeing that before. And the only other time you see that is maybe Married with Children, right? And to Chrissy's point, this is in suburbia, right? And they're an affluent family, and they show the dysfunction of that. And they show that it's all make-believe. It's none of it's really real. Nobody's really happy. Everybody's wearing a mask. Nobody's truly who they make themselves out to be. And that they're just as human and just as normal, so to speak, whatever that is, quote unquote, as you all. I really, really enjoy that. By no means do I want to promote, pedophilia or something like that. I don't really think that that's the point of this movie. I think that Lester Burnham's character was attracted to, to Angela's character, and she brought him psychologically and as a result physically to a place when he was younger, whatever like that. Does it make it right? No. And I think that the movie says that. I don't think it's and I hate to keep using this word, a pedophilia fest. I don't think that's what the movie is about. I think that's just an aspect of his story. The same way an aspect of his story is when he gains the courage to tell his wife how he really feels, right? When he gains the courage to tell his supervisor how he really feels he's treated at work. When Carolyn, when she learns to have some confidence in herself, and she goes to the firing range and she shoots that gun, and she finds a positive way to let out that stress rather than sleeping and cheating, or sleeping with the real estate king and cheating on her husband. When Janie realizes that she's precious and she's beautiful and she's valuable and she's unique, and she doesn't have to sleep around with a bunch of people, as her friend Angela is saying that she does. When Angela realizes and she comes to herself and says, hey, you know what? There is something special about what I have, and I haven't done those things, and I'm just a scared girl. That's absolutely okay. The fact that Ricky was able to hold on to himself, even though he grew up in a house of abuse, seeing his mother, who had just succumbed to decades of abuse, the father who Ricky's father, who gave in to his desires that he's had forever, and he couldn't handle that. And he ends up shooting Lester in the head rather than Lester going ahead, who wasn't even going to say anything to anybody, but rather than his secret being out that Ricky's father was actually gay. So I love how it takes off the mask of people. I love when you see who people really are when the chips are down, when they have nothing. I really, really like that. So I don't view the movie under the same lens that Chrissy does. She's entitled to her opinion, and hers or mine is no more or less valid in my eyes. So I appreciate what she brought to it, and I just really enjoy this movie. It has great quotes, so of course, I'm going to give it a thumbs up.
All right, thumbs up. So let's go to our next. Who wants to go next to give their final thoughts? Can't hear you, Chris.
Man.
Is that Vic messing with me?
No, that's me. That's me. I'm having technical difficulties all over the place. Hey, I usually hit the thumbs up or the thumbs down. This time Chrissy did it because, let's be real, this is James' favorite movie. So we knew he was going to give it, which is a thumbs up. Now, before I start talking about what I liked and disliked about this movie, let's go ahead with some facts. The fact is, this movie got an 8.3 out of 10 on IMDb.com. It cost $15 million to make. It made $356 million worldwide. 130 of it came in the United States. That is what we call a profit, ladies and gentlemen. It also won 5 freaking Oscars. Now, I think the Oscars are a little bit overrated, but these are still, if you're an actor, the biggest honor you can have. It won 5 Oscars for Best Picture, Best Actor in a Leading Role, Best Director, Best Writing, Best Cinematography. That is an achievement, a really good achievement. Big ups to this movie for that. Now, love that quote from earlier. Love that scene that I mentioned earlier. I love the flow of this movie. There was no real protagonist in this movie. There was no real antagonist in this movie. Everybody was a shade of gray. We talked about it. Some people agree. Some people disagree. This was a town, a suburban town full of creeps. They all were creeps. No one was normal except for the only 2 characters in the movie that no one seemed to have mentioned, and that is, and for lack of a better term, the homosexual couple, Jim and Jim. Yes. That was next door. Okay? Captain Archer and his boyfriend. So, that being said, all right, before let me quantum Sam Beckett. I was talking. Yeah, quantum leap back to what I was talking about, right? That was Sam Beckett. So, that is layers, ladies and gentlemen, of a movie. That is actually very interesting. Now, what I did not like about this movie, the domestic violence, did not like. The tones, whether it was an overtone, whether it was undertone, whether it was a subtle tone, still was a tone of pedophilia in this movie. Okay? I don't like seeing 16, 17-year-old girls bare chest, whether it's actresses or an actor. I don't want to see their bare chest. The entire time this creep, I'm going to call him Creep Ricky, was filming, okay, because that was creepy, okay? You might want to go ahead and talk about the difference between that and Twilight or something like that. This man had to record. I don't understand. Now, let me tell you something.
Can you tell me what you're talking about? Because at first I thought you were talking about Lester, but you mean the son, Ricky Fisk, was recording.
Right. Let me tell you something. I see somebody recording me constantly, something's going to happen. Either I'm going to break him, I'm going to break that camera, or I'm not going to call the cops. I mean, you can't be recording me all the time. That ain't happening, bro.
How often can they record you, Chris? Because you said all the time.
So I mean, he was recording a lot of times, man. He recorded almost everybody.
Just for those who record you, how often can they do that?
I don't know how.
Every Thursdays and Saturdays on Unpopular Review.
Respectfully, because you might have admirers out there.
Yeah, I mean, of course I have admirers, man. I have admirers all the time. Somebody's. Hey, you know what scene that happened? Never mind. That's going to get R-rated. You know, Vic was already R-rated enough. About 15 F-bombs he dropped here. He can prepare for that post-production talk. But look, here's the thing, right? So because of all of that, there was so much to dislike about this movie. If this movie were to come out tomorrow, I would not see it. I would look at the trailer. I'm like, I'm not interested in this movie, and I will not see it. It is because James picked this movie that I end up having to see this movie. Now, because this is actually longer than I usually do. When I was a child, when I was a teenager, stuff like that, HBO, I would go to sleep early. I would wake up at like 1, 2 o'clock in the morning. Whatever movie was on HBO, Showtime, or something like that, I would watch it. And I've actually found out that I've seen some movies that I would not have normally seen by doing that, and I've actually enjoyed them. So because of all that, I can honestly say I would have to give this movie a thumbs up.
Wow!
I did enjoy this movie, much to my shock. I agree with a lot of what Cedar Superior said. I did not, and I said it. I did not like this. I did not like that. However, at the end of the day, it was a movie. All right, it was a movie, and this was some of the stuff that happened in the movie. Just like when you're watching a movie, people get raped, people do drugs. It's all stuff I don't do. People get killed. It's all part of the movie, and it's all a part of telling the story. And I think they did a decent job of telling the story. Like I said, there was no protagonist. There was no true antagonist. Hey, I was actually fine, spoiler alert, with Lester getting killed at the end of the movie. Perfectly fine. So, but if you go overall, I'll use a wrestling term, from bell to bell, I actually did enjoy the movie. Wouldn't watch it again, but I actually did enjoy the movie. So it does get a thumbs up from the executive consultant. Now, are you ready down there, DeMarc Victor Rodriguez? All right, go ahead with your final thoughts, bro.
We can't hear you.
Yeah, I got to mute you because, you're probably going to hear.
Okay, what I thought about this movie. At first, I was a little confused, but then once I got into it, I thoroughly enjoyed it. Because above all else, more than anything, the underlying theme between this movie is the difference between approval and disapproval. People that were seeking approval from other people and people that were consistently doing anything in their power to avoid being disapproved of. Especially little Cleopatra, or little Marilyn Monroe, however it is that you want to call her. And one of the things that could probably resonate with a lot of men is that the fact that he could have been attracted to her and would have left it there. She escalated the situation simply because, and not because she wanted him, simply because she loves the attention. And that's it. The bottom line is she wanted the attention. And that's why I say that when she says that was her first time, it was a bold-faced lie. Because I don't think that she necessarily wanted to do it. I think that all she wanted was just, to get him hot and bothered and to enjoy the power that she has. And she certainly did that several times. Several times. All the people that she said that she did stuff with, probably an exaggeration, possibly. However, I don't believe this girl to be innocent. As innocent, at least, as she led him to believe. Now, the good part about that is that as soon as she showed a little bit of innocence, he snapped out of it. So I could completely understand why he was attracted to her, because he thought she was one thing and then he learned something else. And all of a sudden he snapped out of it and the attraction was gone. You know why? Because he thought that she was somebody experienced, somebody that could fulfill his needs. And she wasn't. You know what I mean? Now, at the same time, what the hell are you doing going to watch a cheerleader and being turned on by a cheerleader? Like, come on now. At least go to a college game. You know what I'm saying? If you like them young. You feel me? Do that. But the bottom line is, this gets a thumbs up. I'm sorry I'm rushing to work, but I hope that I said it without any curses.
Good job. I don't think I heard one curse word.
All right. Giggity.
All right. Giggity.
However, that does prove that perhaps you might have a problem if you did all that talking and you don't even remember if you said a curse word.
Listen, okay? Man, I got clients waiting for me. I'm running to the office. I'm trying to be a good UPR host by doing 3 things at the same time. So shoe fly with all your tomfoolery. All right?
Shoe fly with all that curse. This man is the only person that defended Lester in his. I'm so glad you had today's Lester tonight. Okay, so glad. Just make sure you don't.
I see you. I gotta go.
We gotta go. Thanks for watching, everybody. Have a good night.
Bye.